Hi, welcome to my channel. This is another game from my recent match and I wanted to talk through it. So the opponents rolled 4-1 as their opening roll and they play it correctly as XG would want it played. I normally slot the 5 myself, but yeah, I normally play like this. I like to try and make the 5 point, and I fight for the 5 point. But yeah, well, all right. We're not talking about my opponent's moves. We're talking about mine. So my opening roll in this match is 5-3, and I always like going to the 16 point anyway. I do not make the 3 point, and this is the one time I don't get penalized for going the 16 point because I'm hitting, and obviously that's the right thing to do. So yeah, that's nice. That saved my PR a bit because I normally get dinged for playing 24-16. So of course I hit on the 16. All's good so far. I get a 4-1 next, so I come in with the 4 and I slot the 5. If you can recall from the previous video I did where I had the choice of hitting on the 4 point from my 8 point with the 4, and I passed on that. One of the reasons is because I only have one spare on the 8, and I do not like using that to slot or even hit on the 4. So this is different because it's the 5 point for one, so that's a more important point that you're trying to make. And most importantly, I'm using my tower on the 6 point where I have a lot of spares. So even though I am extremely likely to get hit back, I'm happy to, play my hand and see where the cards fall, so to speak. So that's what I do. I slot on the 5, I hit on the 5. So my opponent comes in and they decide to anchor up instead of making their 9 point. That seems a bit natural. I might have considered the double hit on this occasion because when you've got 2 on the bar, you know that gives you quite a bit of momentum. Also, just closing the 13. So there's 3 reasonable plays here, but I don't focus too much on the opponent's moves. So they play this move, which is to anchor up on my 5 point. Boo-hoo! They've stopped me making my favorite point. So I then get a 4-3 to play. So I'll come in with the 4 because then I've got an anchor myself, and I'll play 13-10 because I don't really have another good 3. I don't want to go 24-21. I can't go 8-5 and 6-3. Well, the 3 points not really a point I'm interested in at this stage. So 13-10. All's well and good so far. I've got no problems with XG. XG's got no problems with me. But now we get to this play, 5-1. And XG wants me to play 10-4. I don't want to do that. There's 2 things I want to talk about here. Maybe more, who knows. Once I start talking, it's hard to shut me up. But I am not that interested in safetying this checker on the 10. And it's not possible to safety either. By slotting the 4 point, which is like this, it's still not safe. I still get hit from my opponent. But also, even if I make the 4 point after I've slotted it, I've made a point behind my opponent's anchor, of what real effect is it if I then complete my 4-point afterwards? My opponent's anchored on the 5. They've passed it. So when you have the opportunity to make points behind an opponent's anchor, you shouldn't just rush headfirst into it, because what are you trying to gain? I always am looking to prime more than just build. If I'm building, it's because I'm blitzing, I'm attacking. Building points when your opponent is advanced past those points, it would be a long time before you really get any use or benefit of that asset. So to me, it makes it a low priority and less valuable. What I see here is my opponent's only got 2 checkers on their 13 point. So instead of letting them advance or do anything good at the back, I want to focus their attention where they don't really want to focus their attention. And for me right now in this position, that's the 18 point. If I come to the 18 point and my opponent rolls a 6, unless it's like 6-2, 6-1 or 6-5, they are very likely going to hit me on the 18. And when they do that, they are abandoning or weakening their midpoint anchor. So I look at it as a sort of a distraction play, or I'm leading my opponent where I want them to go, not where they need to go. So I really like this idea in the game of making your opponent do what you want them to do, not what necessarily would work best for them. The other aspect of this as well is that I don't want my opponent to be anchored on my 5 point. So I don't mind leaving this checker on the 10 point as bait for the opponent to hit me and then abandon the 5 point. Because once they've abandoned the 5 point, then I have a chance to attack or make it myself, and I really want that. So I'm not keen on safetying this checker. The other aspect is, if I don't safety this checker, I can then put another checker on this point. That is an anchor or a point that I've made in front of my opponent's anchor. So it has a value. I would then block 5s. So 10-4, for me, it does nothing good. I give my opponent the chance of working at the back where they'd like to, sending a checker further back round than from the 10, because that's a whole 6 pips further that checker's going back. If I'm sent back from the 10, I'm only losing 14 positions, 14 pips. If I'm sent back from the 4, I'm losing 20 pips. So I'm losing more if I get hit on the 4 than if I get hit on the 10, without the benefit of the opponent abandoning their anchor on my 5 point. So 10-4 is a non-starter for me. If I didn't play 24-18, I would have played something like 13-8 and 10-9. I still would have not gone to the 4 point for the reasons I've explained. I'd rather try and make points in front of my opponent's anchor, or leave it as bait to tempt them off the anchor. Okay,